So we need to spread awareness about the things that Canada has done about the Indigenous people.
Tonight, a group of Mennonite youth work to renovate the relationship.
It is an enduring recognition that Mr. Prince had a significant impact on the history of our nation.
A special ceremony for one of Canada's most honored war heroes.
Good art came from good people and strong people.
And excellence by design. A school in British Columbia gains attention across the country.
Good evening, I'm Rick Harp. We begin tonight in the Atlantic, where time is running out for the Labrador Land Protectors, a group that's long fought the construction of the Muskrat Falls hydroelectric dam, a mega project on the brink of achieving a major threshold. With the latest, here's Angel Moore.
The Labrador Land Protectors motorcade stops across from the gates of Muskrat Falls. The entrance to the project is about 30 minutes west of Goose Bay, Labrador. This site has been the location of resistance and conflict against Muskrat Falls hydroelectric dam. This is the last gathering at the site before the reservoir is flooded. Marjorie Flowers says she is at a loss.
We've tried so hard. We've worked so hard. We've reached out to people so much. We've demonstrated. We've protested. We've went to jail. We've begged. We've pleaded. We wrote letters. We got signatures. There was just no end to what we tried to do to get people to listen, the Nalcor and the provincial government.
The people here say the hydroelectric dam is a threat to the environment. The concerns are that methyl mercury will poison the water. Flooding the land will mean the loss of traditional foods. Sam Saunders is a Grand River waterkeeper. He says lives are worth more than jobs.
It's about the river and the mercury, and the people's lives are and the property at risk. And I talked to a lot of people along the river, and a lot of them told me the same story. So it's not only come from me.
The protectors gathered to talk about their concerns. Emotions ran high. Flowers says eventually the fish will not be safe to eat.
We're on the brink of losing our food chain. I'm an Inuit woman who depended on that food chain all my life, all my father's life, all my grandparents' lives. We've depended on that.
The controversial hydroelectric project is owned by Nalcor, a provincial government agency. It is going ahead with flooding the reservoir despite years of protests from the public. Denise Cole says she is frustrated at colonial government's lack of interest.
So no matter if it's a pipeline or a mega dam or fracking or a telescope, that they get to do whatever they want, and there's nothing. It appears to be there's nothing we can do to stop them because they control the legislation, they control the courts, they control the police, they control it all. So to say that we're in any place of truth or reconciliation in this country is a lie.
The province launched a public inquiry into the financial side of the project in 2017. On Thursday, it will be in Goose Bay. The land protectors will be there to voice their concerns, but the inquiry is not dealing with the environmental concerns. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
To Ontario now, where a group of Mennonite youth have just breathed new life into an old building. But as Annette Francis explains, their efforts are about rebuilding more than just a physical structure.
These youth are putting the finishing touches on some of the furniture they've helped to build over the summer. For the past month, Clarice Shen has been volunteering at the Mohawk Institute Indian Residential School in Brantford. What drew Shen to the project wasn't the carpentry skills.
For me personally, it's something that I've always been interested in, trying to learn more about Indigenous history, Canada's role in it, and trying to think about what I can do as a person, what I can do as part of a community.
Shen is one of 50 youth that participated in the renovation project at the site of the former residential school, which operated from 1828 to 1970. According to Nick Ham, the chair of the Mennonite Disaster Services, it's a way to teach the youth both construction skills and to raise social awareness. He says it took 2.5 years to organize the project from start to finish.
And I was hoping that they would be mainly Ontario youth because this is our local history, although it relates to all of Canada. And so with the BC group that came the 1 week, it was still very fitting. But this is local history that we can get involved in on a regular basis. We don't have to do it just because we have a project here.
The students built dining tables, benches, and school desks, which will go back into the school once the renovations are complete. They also took part in archaeological digs on the grounds. Jason Dang says it's time well spent. He learned a lot about what happened at these schools.
I think it's important because we need to spread awareness about the things that Canada has done about the Indigenous people. And there are still quite a lot of people who aren't fully aware of what Canada has done in terms of the cultural genocide that happened.
The former residential school sits on the property of the Woodland Cultural Centre. Carly Gallant-Jenkins is the outreach coordinator. She says the renovations have been a large undertaking over the past 5 years, and there's still more to do. She's pleased with the results.
So what's left, the major thing is masonry work on the exterior of the building and windows. Those are two large elements of the mechanical upgrades that we are still in process of, and the interpretation.
According to the Woodland Cultural Centre, more renovations are needed before it is open to the public. The goal is June 2020. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Brantford.
We invite you to share your thoughts about anything you see on the program. Here's how you can continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. Find us online at aptnnews.ca and on youtube.com/APTN News. You can also follow APTN News on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for the latest in Indigenous news. First Nation students hoping to work in Yukon's mining industry face some difficult challenges. For one, many come from remote communities, making it their first time living in a city like Whitehorse, adding to the culture shock, the high costs of living, and of the gear required for the course. And so, in an effort to assist students in need, Yukon College has set up an award fund, drawing on what they call giving circles. Known as the annual Mines for Minds Award, it's funded by contributions from both mining companies and individuals. To date, $10,000 has been raised, enough to help students for the next 5 years. So far, 2 individuals have benefited by the award. Yukon College Development Officer Jay Dobson says a little help can go a long way.
By eliminating those barriers, we also eliminate some of that pressure. And so students are able to perform well because we take some of that worry and that angst off of having to leave family and employment while they're at school.
A major connection between Montreal and its South Shore seems to once again be at the heart of controversy. A preliminary plan to expand the Mercier Bridge has already attracted the concern of Longhouse elders in Ganawage. They say they're worried the plan could disturb sensitive habitat. We'll have a full report on this later in the week. In the meantime, here's a sneak peek from Lindsay Richardson.
The Mohawk Nation is one with a legacy of ironworking and bridge building. It could be said that a proposal to repair and possibly expand the existing Mercier Bridge is a good one, but it's already creating division among Ganawage-Rono. Bridge workers are concerned they'll lose contracts to Quebec's unionized employees. Those who live off the land and water worry about the shoreline and underwater damage to sturgeon spawning grounds.
And then they built that wall on the other side, and they drained all the water out.
Elders who live through construction of the seaway are calling for consultation, hoping to avoid at all costs a repeat of damage done to this land and community over 60 years ago.
They're talking about filling in, land filling, acres and acres of land to put construction shacks and whatever up. And so those are concerns to us because that's not going to be replaced. It's going to destroy the animals and the plants that live in that part.
So how has the Quebec government responded? I'm Lindsay Richardson, and I'll have that and more coming up this week on APTN National News.
Time for a quick break on the newscast. When we return, honoring a hero of World War II, commemorating and celebrating the late Tommy Prince.
Here's your Tuesday weather outlook. Beginning in St. John's, cloudy with some rain, 15. Fredericton, mostly sunny, 29. In Ukjuak, some rain, 19. Kuujjuaq, 18, partly cloudy. Chibougamau, rain, and 20. Sept-Îles, rain, and 17. North Bay, rainy, 27. Windsor, a rainy, 29. Big Trout Lake, rainy 22. Thunder Bay, mostly sunny 27. Churchill, 11 with some rain. The wet stuff in the Paw as well, 21 degrees. Gimli, rain 27, just like Winnipeg. Swift Current, mostly sunny 26. North Battleford, 21, rain. Stony Rapids, a rainy 14. Meadow Lake, a rainy 21.
And welcome back. He's one of Canada's most decorated Indigenous soldiers, but for the longest time, little was known about Tommy Prince or his contributions to Canada's efforts during World War II and the Korean War. It's a gap that's slowly been mended over the past decade, and this weekend, the Government of Canada formally added to Prince's story with a special ceremony. APTN's Brittany Hobson was there, and she files this report.
Nearly 8 decades after Tommy Prince first volunteered to fight for Canada, a special ceremony was held in his honor. Hundreds came together at Lower Fort Garry to crown Prince one of Manitoba's hometown heroes.
We recommit ourselves to sharing this land and to the values and principles that he and his comrades in arms defeated. I have to believe your memory boxes will be filled and you will have more questions and you will be grateful for this amazing service of these people and of our amazing land.
The ceremony was part of the Parks Canada program, which recognizes people who made significant contributions to the wartime effort. The accolades were heaped on. Robert Falcon-Ouellette announced the Government of Canada has designated Prince as a person of national historic significance.
It is an enduring recognition that Mr. Prince had a significant impact on the history of our nation. And for those who are gathered here today, he is truly a hometown hero. But
Prince was born in 1915 in Petersfield, Manitoba. In 1940, he volunteered to fight in the Second World War. In 1951, he contributed his services in the Battle of Capion during the Korean War. During his time serving, Prince received a number of awards and medals, including the Silver Star and the Military Medal. King George VI presented him with both honors during a ceremony at Buckingham Palace in 1945. Once Prince returned home, life was not easy.
Experience came with a heavy toll, a toll that today's veterans often face. And then following that honorable discharge, he finds himself back here in Manitoba, living through also what we've heard, discrimination, poverty, and inequity.
Prince spent the later years of his life living on the streets in Winnipeg. He died in 1977. Some of Prince's children were on hand for the ceremony. In a short but passionate speech, Tommy Prince Jr. urged all levels of government to commit to helping veterans.
It bothers me deeply that I have to stand here and say this. But we got to do something for our heroes. Not only of the Second World War, First World War, but for the wars that they are fighting today.
Prince Jr. works with Homes for Heroes, an organization that builds tiny homes for veterans. He hopes to one day see something like this in Winnipeg. The day was an eye-opener for one of Prince's daughters. Karen Braun Prince never knew her father, but hearing stories of his accomplishments gave her a glimpse into who he was.
He is a great inspiration to many Aboriginal people and First Nations people, and especially to me. What a legacy to live up to.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And we have a couple more notable comments to share with you now from Saturday's ceremony at Lower Fort Garry, located just outside of Winnipeg. Up first, Manitoba's Lieutenant Governor Janice Filmon.
It's an honor to join you today in celebrating Manitoba's hometown hero, Sergeant Tommy Prince. I begin by acknowledging that we are gathered at the site of the signing of Treaty 1 and recognizing, of course, that the Anishinaabe lived here long before this was the site of a fur trade fort, they continue to live along the Red River and throughout Manitoba. We have come to the right place to pay homage to a great Manitoban, and especially to Sergeant Tommy Prince. Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site is a special, sacred place for Manitobans. Here is the history of the fur trade, because it comes to life. Here too we can almost detect the echoes of the footsteps of the first men of the Northwest Mounted Police preparing for their famous march west. Most importantly, this was where the first of the numbered treaties was signed. Here, the process of establishing a sharing relationship between Canada and the Indigenous peoples of the West began. As we know, Canada failed in many ways for many years to honor the words and the spirit of the treaties. That did not stop Indigenous people from coming forward when Canada needed them and volunteering to protect this country. Thousands of Indigenous men and women volunteered in the First and Second World Wars and the Korean War. Volunteers from every First Nation and every Métis community served alongside fellow Manitobans. They served in the trenches of the First World War. They served in the Second World War's Battle of the Atlantic. In the air over Europe, in Italy, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany, and the desperate defense of Hong Kong. They served in Korea and in every peacekeeping and security operation since.
Next, speaking on behalf of the Prince family, Tommy Prince Jr., who underscored the severity of the issues facing all too many veterans upon their return home.
I don't think I have to touch too much on our deceased father's military history. That's been well said today. But I will say that our veterans have been poorly treated, mistreated by governments, and are still being mistreated by the government. Facts are, if they got a pension, it was minimized, it was cut. Secondly, they don't get the medical treatment they need, whether it's mentally or physically. And last but not least, you heard that we have many homeless veterans. I watched my father die homeless in Winnipeg. I offered him to come and live with me and my girlfriend, but being the type of man that he was, he said, I don't want to be a burden. It bothers me deeply that I have to stand here and say this. But we got to do something for our heroes. Not only of the Second World War, First World War, but for the wars that they are fighting today. We have to do something. And then we can truly say, we look after our own.
Time for another pause on the program. When we come back, educating the next generation of Indigenous artists. Please stay with us. Tuesday's outlook for high-level Alberta, sunny 21, Grande Prairie about the same, 22. Edmonton, rain and 19, Lethbridge, rain and 29. Kamloops, a bright sunny 36, Campbell River, sunny and 28. Fort Nelson, mostly sunny 22, Sandspit, mostly sunny and 19, Dawson 19 and rain, Whitehorse 23 and rain. Moving to the NWT, Norman Wells, rain 15, Trout Lake, partly cloudy 22. Tuktoyaktuk 6 and rain, Colville Lake 10 and rain. Baker Lake, a rainy 15 degrees, Repulse Bay, partly cloudy 10. Clyde River, mostly cloudy 12. Resolute, 12 and rain. Welcome back to APTN National News. Thanks for staying with us. It is often said that behind every individual's success story is a network of their supporters. And for one young Northern BC student, placing second in a nationwide artists competition is both an accomplishment for herself and for her institution. Here to paint the rest of the picture is APTN's Lee Wilson.
She's an emerging artist from the Wet'suwet'en Nation. Today, Stephanie Anderson shows us around the Frida Deasing Art School here at Coast Mountain College in northern British Columbia. Her carving, Wolf and Moon, was runner-up in a 2019 Indigenous Arts and Stories National Competition for Youth.
It kind of lifted me up, you know. I was like, wow, because it's Canada-wide. Like, they pull from artists all over Canada, and I just felt kind of beside myself that I was selected, but then I was also just really grateful.
Stephanie always wanted to be an artist.
Everybody always encouraged me. You know, I had a knack for it from a young age. I'd have my uncles playing drawing games with me, so I think just encouragement from my family really helped me.
The school is named after Haida artist Frida Deasing, whose legacy carries through First Nations culture and arts. Ken McNeil is a founder, master carver, and one of Stephanie's mentors.
The Frida Deasing School is the first of its kind in Canada. Frida Deasing herself, she was a Haida artist, and she taught a lot of very well-respected carvers in BC.
He shares teachings from his uncle in his classes.
Good art came from good people and strong people, and that's you look at the worldwide spect of the art form. That's true.
Seeing successful students and graduates like Stephanie following their dreams makes him proud.
It leaves a good feeling in me to see the students that progress into the art market, because it's a hard place to be and a hard place to stay.
Stephanie says she's already faced challenges as an artist.
I think like any entrepreneur in any field, you know, you're self-reliant. You are the boss. You're working all the time to make deadlines and to meet opportunities and meet with people. It's more than a full-time job.
And she's working on the next project here in her studio.
Absolutely. Terrace is a hub, and it is home to an incredible amount of different Indigenous peoples from all over different nations. And I feel that one of my motivations for doing my artwork in town is I want to showcase that we have a very large demographic of Indigenous people in the city. And
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Terrace, British Columbia.
And that's it for this edition of APTN National News. Be sure to tune in tomorrow this same time for the latest happenings across Indigenous country. Or catch up online via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or aptnnews.ca. I'm Rick Harp. We'll see you tomorrow. Up next, an encore edition of APTN Investigates.